Wow, see, just see inside of it. So yummy like that. Hello there. Welcome back to my channel. So I decided to make something different today for breakfast. And I chose that name, Rich Cheesy Sardine Bread. So in a 200 ml of water, I added my sugar and yeast, mixing together. Then cover it and put it aside. In a bowl, I'll add the mixture of yeast and sugar in it, and that's how it looks. Adding warm milk to it. Vanilla. Whisk egg. And then my flour. This will go in bit by bit until I get my texture. Put it aside to be useful at the latter part. So grating some nutmeg on top. This nutmeg and the vanilla essence I added earlier will bring out this pleasant aroma, which you love it. Adding some salt. So you can omit one if you don't want the two. I added a bit of salt together with the sugar because I don't want it all sugary. And I say the taste looks some way, but when you add that pinch of salt to it, it tastes better. That's how I see it. So now I added a bit of flour again. The remaining will be a base when I'm shaping my dough. That's butter. I added butter to it, mixing all together. With the butter, it will give, you can choose to melt it if you don't want it this way. I'm now going to put the spatula aside and mix it with my hands. And then later, I'll take it out from the bowl and put it on the surface to knead better. I think I need a surface now. Spreading some flour on the surface. Okay, now kneading. Just trust the process. Because of the butter, it becoming a bit sticky because of the butter. So I'll be spreading my flour again and again until it gets better. I'm using the heel of my palm in doing this. I'll keep kneading until I get a smooth dough. At this moment, I'm hitting the dough on the surface again and again. In doing this, you are strengthening the gluten in it, and also you are smoothing it just to have a smooth dough. You are also adding the smoothness to it, strengthening this gluten as well as smoothing the dough at the same time, because we don't want a rough dough. And mind you, if your dough becomes rough, you may end up having this kind of bread that has these small holes in it. I have a bread no emube bone tokuro on Sardine and a dome into ye. It won't really rise well. So at this stage, I'm almost done. On the way I do now, so you see, the dough is becoming very smooth. You see, and for you to know that you are having a good dough, you know, after pressing the dough, you could see that it bounced back to the normal shape. But when you press it and it doesn't, then you really have to work it out again. Akwa say the finger a press here. It doesn't bounce. There will be a hole in it, then you have to work on it again. But if it doesn't, if it bounces back, it means you are good to go. Now clean the surface. After, we are going to cover the dough and wait for some 30 to 35 minutes time to see how the dough has rise up. We need it to rise up a bit because before we start shaping it. I really don't want it to rise up too much, not double up, like a slight rising will be good to go. Because I don't want my bread fluffy. So after 35 minutes, this is what I have. I'm putting it aside to smash my sardines before I start shaping the dough. As you all know, sardine has excess oil. If you don't want it, you pour it away, because say if you add the oil to your sardines, you may end up having the inside of the bread becomes very moist. If you want it that way, then you can do it, but I don't want it that way, because even if you pour out the excess, you still have some oil. So it's better you pour the excess, because the inside will be too moist. I hope you all try this recipe and you come back on my comment section to give me a good comment and thumbs up. So this is my baking bowl. I am greasing my bowl with some oil. This actually reminds me of a baker and my grandma. This baker lives in our neighborhood where I grew up from. And this man will be buying shea butter from my grandma, which she used to sell. So we come back to the story. I spread some flour on surface because I want to start shaping the dough. I'm putting the dough on the surface where I spread the flour. So this is how the dough looks now after 35 minutes. Now I'm going to cut it into pieces and shape it to my way. I'm using this spatula because it helps. It doesn't stick when I use it to cut. When I use knife, I really don't like it. And I don't have dough cutter at the moment. So this is what I'm using as an improvise. So you can try to use this, because this knife is sticky more. This doesn't stick because it's a silicone. So like I was saying, this baker will buy shea butter from my grandmother and will be stressing my grandmother before he pays it. I always ask my grandmother, but what at all does this man use this shea butter for? Because he buys it in bulk, and I was wondering what he does it with. So my grandmother was like, don't you know we use shea butter in baking bread? Mind you, this is years back, more than 10 years. So this man, I asked grandmother, okay, so let's hold on to the story. We'll come back to it. I'm using my fingers to spread the dough because I want a circular form before I can roll it. Adding some sardines with the filling. I chose sardine and cheese. So I am adding the cheese on top and roll it. So now rolling. Okay, like that. I'm pinching the edges together. I'm pinching just to bring all together at the edges. If you don't pinch to bring the edges together, after your bread is baked, you could see your sardines out of the bread. I don't want it that way. That is why I always pinch the edges to bring them together. So I'm going to continue this same thing until I'm done with all the dough. You can choose any size you want. I want it this way, so if you want it a bigger way, you do it. If you don't want it like this shape, you can change it. Putting the two in the bowl now. So like I was saying, this grandma of mine will give this man will be stressing her like that. So I asked her and she said that to me, and I was, whoa, like how? She told me the man uses the shea butter in greasing the baking bowl. And I was, wow. I didn't know anything by then. Like, I didn't know anything about baking by then, I mean. I was like, really? So now it makes sense to me. I was like, oh, it makes sense because it's really healthy using shea butter. Africa, in Ghana to be precise, we use it to cook. When you go to northern part of Ghana, we use it to cook a lot. Our rice, any other thing that will need oil, we choose shea butter. So it makes sense and it's very healthy. So that was just by the way. I'll keep doing this like I said until I'm done with the dough. So we still have a lot to do. I think I have 4 more to go. Right, so I'm done. I'm bringing 4 in the bowl and leave the rest in my tray. For presentation sake, I use this bowl for you. And also, after that, I'm covering it for some time before I put it in the oven. Mind you, the oven, you always have to preheat it. Iron it on. After some time, I have this. So as you can see, it's not as the way it looks. It has increased a bit. And I'm covering my dough with egg wash, a mixture of egg and milk. After I put it in the oven, which is on, you always have to on the oven ahead of time before you put your dough in. Okay, this was baked under 180 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. So let's check it out, guys. All right, you see inside, you see how it looks very rich. See, check the bread out. You see how rich the bread is. That is how I wanted it. Okay, you see, I chose this for my breakfast. I am actually going to take my breakfast now, so with the tea, and I decided to show this part. You know, stay safe, guys. I love you all. Thank you for supporting me. If you haven't done the usuals, please subscribe to support your girl. See you in my next video. Bye.